Churches say government must do more. Key police unit lacks resources and training. And coffee borer threat contingencies announced.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Wednesday's news. For the first time, churches across PNG have come together to discuss how they can jointly fight HIV and AIDS. Chairman of the PNG Christian Leaders Alliance, Cardinal Sir John Ribat, said a collaborative approach from all stakeholders is needed to address issues surrounding HIV.
Day one of the first HIV summit saw over 20 church leaders and participants gather to further discuss HIV and other cross-cutting agendas. It is a difficult issue, but the delegation was given a rousing welcome by the United Church Choir group from Kessie Compound. Cardinal Sir John Ribat, during his welcome speech, talked on the important roles churches are playing in addressing key health problems in the country, especially the fight against HIV.
The first HIV summit for the heads of churches is not about solving the problem of HIV and AIDS in the country, but it's more about finding a solution through collective effort that will impact on distorted values, attitudes and behaviors of individuals, families and communities.
The Cardinal says as a way forward, churches must work in close partnership.
And so we must focus on building relationship with our people through Christian love and service so that we can be able to lead our people to Christ through the power of the Holy Spirit.
UNAIDS Country Director Stuart Watson also shared similar views. He said churches continue to play a crucial role in addressing social issues surrounding HIV and AIDS.
Throughout the world, UNAIDS has partnerships with all communities of faith, whether they're the Christian churches, Islam, Buddhist, any and all faiths, because the situation that we see in Papua New Guinea is not unique. It's the same in most countries. The faith community is a crucial part of responding to social issues and health issues such as HIV.
We are supporting the Christian Leaders Alliance in their endeavours today to bring this conference together. And what we hope will come out of this is a better partnership for all the churches working more effectively together to provide better services and also care for people and in a more coordinated way.
The summit is part of a number of roles the PNG Christian Leaders Alliance is doing in addressing HIV and the root causes that fuel the spread of the disease in the country. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
The head of the National AIDS Council Secretariat says the organization is struggling to do its work because of lack of funding and government support. Regional Manager Valentine Tango said over the last 3 years, NACS has not received a development budget from the government. Mr. Tango was a guest speaker in the first HIV summit in Port Moresby this morning.
Mr. Tango highlighted the lack of active participation from the national government with the National AIDS Council Secretariat. He says they have not received any development budget since 2014.
In the last 3 to 4 years, we have not been given a development budget, starting from 2014 to 2017. As you can see here, development budget came up only up to 2013. So we're not able to implement programs or do coordination.
He revealed with the closure of provincial AIDS Council offices throughout the country, there has been lack of coordination in the AIDS Council.
The abolition of PECs, I think, is really having an impact on the provincial coordination. It's important the government take ownership of the national response, both at national and and provinces.
He said other difficulties included the monitoring of patients on antiretroviral drugs and the nationwide shortage of condoms.
Currently, there is a shortage of condoms in the whole of Papua New Guinea. We have had issues with procurement of condoms and also distribution of condoms. That's something that we want to look at.
The head of UN in PNG told EMTV News that through the HIV summit, churches and other organizations can build better partnerships in the fight against HIV.
I think this is a really exciting moment. Today we've got this very, very important conference taking place, a summit of all the Christian leaders coming together to talk about an issue which is really critical for Papua New Guinea as we move forward in terms of development. It's very important, I think, that the health department, which is leading the government's response, but of course HIV/AIDS is not just a health issue. It impacts on every sector, every ministry and so on.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
4 of the 6 people who were reported missing 2 weeks ago have been rescued by a lay-based ship in Medang waters. The 4 include 3 women and a man. All are adults. It is understood 2 others jumped off the banana boats they were traveling in attempts to swim to dry land. They were returning to Wewak from Manus on March 2nd after selling betel nut when they encountered engine failure. Meanwhile, those in the surrounding islands of Karkar, Bagbag and Long Island are advised to keep an eye out for the 2 men who are still missing. They can contact the Wewak Disaster Office on 456-2146 to report any sightings of the pair. In 2018, Papua New Guinea will be hosting one of the biggest events in history, the APEC Summit. This will see prime ministers and presidents of some of the largest economies in the world visiting the country. Thus, national security and protection of visiting leaders is crucial. However, one group tasked for security operations is lacking resources and proper training. Tekla Gunga has this story.
The dog unit is a specialized directorate under the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Those in the unit are trained to track down explosives, drugs and control crowd. In 2018, the unit will be tasked to conduct clearance checks in all accommodation and meeting venues before the start of the APEC Summit. This is where trained police dogs come in to do searches. However, since February, the unit has been waiting to commence proper training of both police dogs and their handlers. These dogs were donated to the directorate, some in 2016 and some this year. They are not officially as yet police dogs, and they need at least 6 to 8 months of proper dog training before they can be qualified as police dogs. But there is not enough resources available to prepare these dogs for police duties. With time running out for the training of these dogs, another concern is accommodation for the handlers. Due to shortage in accommodation, the single dog handlers are sleeping in this classroom, a building that was supposed to be used for theory lessons. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The construction of the Pangia-Wiru Loop Road has a contractor. China Overseas Engineering Company Limited, or COVAC, was awarded the 88.9 million kina project contract, sealed today with the executing of the contract agreements by Governor-General Bob Dadai. The Pangia-Wiru Loop Road begins in the township of Pangia and extends to William Village, covering a distance of 31.4 kilometers. COVAC company representatives Arthur Wu and Ding Shi signed the contract, witnessed by Works Department Secretary David Were. The Coffee Industry Corporation has announced that the coffee berry borer pest has been identified in 2 highlands provinces, Jiwaka and the Eastern Highlands. Authorities are now working closely to contain the threat in Bans, Kamiliki and Asaro, where there is a contained presence. Agriculture Minister Tommy Tomsko says there will be no trade and movement of coffee beans outside of affected areas without inspection. Bethany Harman with this report.
The Coffee Industry Corporation has identified the pest's presence at Bans in the Juaka province. It also has a confined presence at Kamiliki and Asoro in the Eastern Highlands. Both areas are strong contributors to the country's annual coffee export numbers. As an immediate approach, Coffee Industry Corporation CEO Charles Dambui says they have sent scientists into the area to assess the situation.
The message now we are giving out to the farmers. We are not going in to cut all the trees down. Like Minister said, we are looking at the hotspot where the coffee sort of infestation level is very high, and we will take an appropriate measure.
CIC entomologist Dr. Nelson Simbican says the pests are lethal because it attacks the actual coffee beans that are bagged for export.
If they're getting 10 bags of coffee, the coffee berry borer, and if no control is put in place, they will lose 6 bags and make only 4 bags.
It comes when Papua New Guinea enjoys a relatively high return on exporting coffee bags. Last year, the country made around 650 million kina in coffee exports. The national government and its authorities want to protect the industry. Agriculture Minister Tommy Tomsko held a press conference today to announce the government's support toward the containment and to reassure stakeholders that coffee exports will be safeguarded.
The character of the environment in that country in which that pest is present, so that we can adapt and mitigate in the same way they are doing successfully.
NACIA and CIC will establish quarantine checkpoints along the affected areas to stop the spread of the pest. It's going to cost the government at least 50 to 70 million kina to carry out the quarantine in the affected areas. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
Suspended Northfly MP Boka Kondra has lost another legal attempt to challenge the verdict of a leadership tribunal which found him guilty of misappropriation. He filed a slip rule application in the Supreme Court challenging the legality of the tribunal's decision. But Justice Fraser Pitpit dismissed the application because the court has not been aware of the slip rule issue in all the proceedings in the previous court. Eric Harupma with this report.
Suspended Northfly MP Boka Kondra was referred to a leadership tribunal last year on 6 counts of misappropriation. In 2016, the tribunal found Kondra guilty of all 6 counts, including using the district funds to rent his office, housing and paying his election debts. Kondra's lawyers filed an application as a slip rule before the Supreme Court to stay the guilty verdict and for the court to revisit the tribunal's decision. However, Justice Fraser Pitpit told the court that in all the previous proceedings, Kondra's lawyers failed to inform the court that the application is a slip rule. He added that a slip rule is adopted under common law as a right or remedy for someone when the court has erred in a previous ruling. Justice Pitpit said there is no reason or justification to pursue application for a slip rule and discharge Kondra's application. Eric Harupma, National EMTV News.
In the news ahead, opposition leader Don Pollier calls on the government to be transparent on the printing of ballot papers for the national general election. That story among others when we come back. Welcome back. More than 400 police personnel in Mount Hagen are undergoing 3 weeks of security training in preparation for the 2017 national election. The pre-election training will assist them to know their responsibilities during the national election. Highlands Recruiting Officer Inspector Mesaona said police needs to prepare in advance to overcome obstacles during the election.
The training started yesterday and will end in 3 weeks' time. Members of Mount Hagen Police were grouped in 25 to attend the course each day. 5 main topics are democratic and election process, human rights and police, police ethics and professionalism in the election, role of police on election day, and election offences.
All this law, something all policy must look away before we go inside now. What to expect, now what not. Unexpected, something only expected, not something unexpected there. So everyone must look away this plan before we go inside long all to the election.
Inspector Honor said from previous election experiences, there were a lot of election offences in Western Highlands. Such offences committed under the Criminal Code are bribery, double voting, and voting casted by children under the age of 18. Honor said this pre-election training is for police to understand their roles and responsibilities as law enforcing officers and what they can do to have a democratic election process.
Abusim this all kind of offences, and that is why this last school come up. Where necessary will arrest him man, or also the committee more offences, then you may take action. No God, I'm no God. Some time must me responsibility or no responsibility, but I go through long all presiding officers because I'm police. I'm just by security, that's all, providing security.
Mount Hagen police will also be trained on police ethics and when to use force and firearm. They will also be given practicals on safe handling of firearms. Others include knowing the polling locations, crowd controlling, and human rights. Basinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Assistant Police Commissioner for Northern Command, Peter Guinness, says the recent burning down of the 2 police stations in Leh is unacceptable. He says police are only there to provide service to the people. The burning down of the police station only creates more problem for the people.
These all properties that were burned belong to the people of Papua New Guinea. They saved the community of Papua New Guinea. They saved the people of Papua New Guinea. There is no reason for them to burn police stations because we are a service provider. We don't make money. We're only providing service, and the kind of service. Yes, at times police will be hard on people, but that doesn't mean to say that they will retaliate to police now, cook him down a police station or hurt him policeman, because we're not here to hurt anybody. We're here to serve the public and the community. And burning down police station, and we also, it's an issue where they're creating more problems for themselves when they don't realize the fact that you're just taking the services away from the community. Just like when you destroy a school or when you destroy a hospital, and you bagaravim community, you bagaravim you yet.
The Provincial Education Board in East New Britain has approved a zero-tolerance policy on school fights. The approval comes after classes at St. Mary's Vuvu Secondary and Malaguna Technical were suspended following a school fight last Friday. The fight broke out when authorities in Rabaul were meeting with teachers and students of Malaguna Technical. Rabaul police are conducting investigations into the incident to establish the cause of the fight. The Provincial Education Board is expected to give an update on the suspension of classes next Monday. The expectation of fast and efficient telecommunication services within a mine environment is crucial. With this in mind, Newcrest operators of Lihir Mine have partnered with Australian telco Telstra and O3B Networks to deliver a high-speed broadband link linking the mine to the rest of the world. Lihir has become the first mine within the Southern Hemisphere to implement this technology.
In a statement from Newcrest, the company announced this achievement in subscribing to a faster satellite-based broadband network through its partnership with Telstra and satellite service provider O3B Networks. According to Newcrest Chief Information Officer Gavin Wood, as well as enabling better IT and digital solutions for its operations, the new link will help make Lihir a better place to work and live for its workforce. The upgrade to the current 100 megabytes per second will be welcomed, particularly given the remoteness of Lihir Island from the provincial capital, Kavieng. These changes are a part of Newcrest's ambition to make operations more cost-effective in the long run, with Lihir Executive General Manager Craig Jetson adamant that the community on Lihir will also benefit from this improvement. Newcrest is the latest company to subscribe to the satellite services being offered by O3B, a company which claims to be the fastest growing satellite communication provider at the moment. Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
Registrar of Political Parties and candidate Dr. Alphonse Gelu said in this general election we must aim to uphold the integrity of election process. Some practices that have occurred in the past have weakened the process that has been underage voting, threats and intimidation of voters.
Dr. Gelu was at the election training of journalists this week outside of Port Moresby. He says a successful election is one that follows democratic processes when electing members of parliament. If the process has been compromised, these issues must be processed and improved.
Political parties, one of the things that we are now critically looking at is the issue of the integrity of the process. And it goes back to the mandate that has been given to us by the Constitution, in ensuring that the process of elections in Papua New Guinea is free from any undue influences. But like I've said, that I think for many of our leaders who are also very much aware of this particular fact and a problem, that we really need to work hard. The people of this country and the government will really need to assist the Papua New Guinea Electoral Commission to make sure that whatever the outcome is of an election must be an outcome that is based on very legitimate rules and processes that are in place.
In previous elections, there has been instances of undemocratic practices in some parts of the country.
Moving from the 1970s into the 80s and then into the 90s, I think one of the things that has been discovered in the conduct of the elections itself has been this strong influence that is coming in to affect the democratic conduct of elections.
This will be the 9th general elections for Papua New Guinea, and writs will be issued on the 20th of April. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Don Pollier is calling on the Electoral Commission to be transparent when it comes to the printing of ballot papers in Indonesia for the upcoming election. Pollier is asking the Electoral Commissioner Patilis Gamato to release information on when the ballot papers are to be printed, when they will be transported to PNG and what mode of transport they will be brought in.
The opposition leader Don Pollier wants the Electoral Commission to be transparent on the printing of the 2017 election ballot papers.
I continue to question the transparency or the transparent manner, the lack of transparent manner in which the Electoral Commissioner is working. I've been raising issues on the printing of ballot papers in Indonesia. Now, we still believe very strongly that printing ballot papers outside of the country, when you have a very capable government printer, service available, is not justified. And it is a very untransparent decision.
Pollier said that every detail of the printing and transport of the ballot papers must be made clear because this was the first time in the history of the country that the papers would be printed overseas.
However, we'd like to have some details as to if those ballot papers are already produced, and if they're in the country, we'd like to know who will be transporting those ballot papers to the country, who will be scrutinizing that the actual 9 or 10 million ballot papers have been produced in wherever they're produced, and the same number is brought into the country.
He also asked if the international observers and the opposition see where the paper is being printed in Indonesia.
There must be scrutiny and check done to making sure that no ballot paper has been lost or no additional ballot papers recorded at the time of shipment have been put in, and therefore we see extra ballot papers or boxes at arrival in Papua New Guinea.
Meanwhile, Electoral Commissioner Patilis Gamato has said that ballot papers are completed and are being shipped out. He said he will formally release a statement when ballot papers reach PNG shores next month, and because of security reasons, he cannot disclose information. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National, EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4042 Australian dollars, $0.2877 euro, and 35.01 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed lower, cocoa and copper closed the day higher. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 44.11 points lower. The ASX closed at 14.86 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 15.58 points higher. Still ahead, stories making headlines overseas, including the interruption of a live TV interview. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas and in the Middle East, Iraqi forces are hoping the fight against Islamic State for the city of Mosul will soon end. They are now close to an ancient mosque where the founder of the militant group announced its formation 3 years ago.
Famous for its leaning minaret, the Nuri Mosque in Mosul's old city has stood for 1,000 years. Today the IS flag still flies on what was the stage for al-Baghdadi's declaration of a caliphate. But Iraqi forces have got to within half a mile, although the aftermath of a nearby suicide car bombing shows just how desperately the followers of the Caliph are defending their greatest prize. Rolling back the Islamic State has been tortuous. The fighting here is intense and brutal. In 2014, the Iraqi army lost Mosul in 6 hours. Getting it all back is going to take them at least 6 months. This Daesh propaganda video appears to confirm the commitment of their fighters here in Mosul. It also shows they are far from running short on ammunition. On show in Mosul Museum today was rubble. This is where IS sledgehammered history, and while much of what they bludgeoned was replica stuff, some priceless artifacts were destroyed here. Now the museum is on the front line of more history being made, and the records will show that the Battle of Mosul was one of the most brutal urban fights the world has ever seen.
The family at the center of the viral video where 2 kids interrupted their dad during a live television interview have broken their silence. The video is being viewed more than 84 million times and counting. Now parents say they're desperate for the newfound fame to fade.
Tonight, Professor Robert Kelly says he still won't go near his phone.
Put them in airplane mode or whatever for a while. I've turned off Twitter alerts and Facebook alerts, and I'm not even going near YouTube or...
The viral fallout from that video. Kelly in his home office trying to explain South Korean politics live on the BBC when his daughter sashays in. Then his son, then his frantic wife, spawning copycats from Italy to The Tonight Show. Today, Professor Kelly was bravely back on camera, this time trying to explain how it all went down.
I've been doing TV for a while, and that never happened before, obviously.
Yeah, most of the time she locked the door. Yeah.
4-year-old Marion's adorable swagger. Kelly says she was in a great mood after her birthday party at school.
Once my son came in the little roller, then it was sort of... Then there was nothing I could do.
The family wasn't prepared for worldwide fame.
I will calm down.
Yeah. Mostly we're interested in this sort of like fading to a manageable level.
Marion might have other plans.
Now she wants to talk to you. Want me to bring her in? This is my life, man.
His expertise may pay the bills, but a moment with Marion.
What did you do for your birthday at school, honey? I don't know, man.
Priceless.
Chukai Sports is next. Details after the break.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. In football, head coach of the PNG men's national team, Fleming Seretslev, has said the squad's preparations ahead of the match against Tahiti is going well. With only 12 days remaining until the match, a handful of players are still yet to attend the squad, with striker Raymond Gunemba and keeper Ronald Warisan on Champions League duties.
None. However, that could well change today, and why not?
When Papua New Guinea first met Tahiti, a nervy start had progressed into a 2-0 confidence booster.
Nice ball in, lovely exchange, must be a goal. It is! What a strike! Sheer brilliance from Michael Foster and Raymond Gunemba.
But inexperience then had seen the Francophones fight back in absolutely stunning fashion.
To the far post, Warisan's missed it, it's in! Tainui Taha has equalised!
A year ago, prior to facing Tahiti, when he'd had his full 23-man squad to work with, this time around with Champions League duties having affected his quota, Seretslev has worked hard with a new assembly of talent. Unlike the previous OFC campaign, Seretslev has had his work cut out for him, having to organize sessions without the full complement of his team.
They are looking very good. All in all, the training camp is running very good, and not only the Australian, New Zealand players have been doing very well, also the new local players have been doing extremely well.
Despite these setbacks, the mood within the camp remains highly positive.
No, but the mood is very good. There's really a competitive training every time, and players seem to be happy, and you need to be happy when you have to perform well.
The final 23-man squad for the Stage 3 World Cup qualifier will be announced shortly, with a match to be held at the Sejongai Stadium on Thursday, the 23rd of March. Papua New Guinea will face Tahiti with far more experience than their first two-all meeting in May 2016, and the prospects for the home team are looking better as the date looms. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
To international football, Atletico Madrid coach Diego Simeone says that Bayer Leverkusen is a dangerous team when they host the German squad at the Vicente Calderon Stadium. Atletico are trying to reach the Champions League quarter-finals for the 4th season in a row. Having romped to a 4-2 victory in Germany in the first leg, Atletico have a clear advantage, and with their talisman Antoine Griezmann back in form, they have high hopes of progressing.
Tenemos un rival que tiene un fútbol ofensivo interesante, que tiene una velocidad en salida muy buena, que va a ser peligroso porque obviamente en el partido que ganamos en Alemania tuvimos complejidades durante los 90 minutos y mañana me espera un partido.
Atletico Madrid will rely on leading striker Griezmann. The Frenchman has scored 6 goals in his last 7 games, with his 84th minute strike helping the Rojiblancos to a 1-0 win at Granada on Saturday. Forward Kevin Gamero scored and had an assist in the impressive victory in Germany, but stomach pains meant he was left out of the squad for tonight's match. Centre-back Diego Godin said it was very important for the team to reach again the last 8 of the Champions League. Bayer Leverkusen coach Tefun Korkut said his team will not drive crazy and will wait for their chances.
Ja, wir wissen, wie das Hinspiel ausgegangen ist, das ist schon mal Fakt. Von daher sind wir mit Sicherheit jetzt in der absoluten Außenseiterrolle, wollen aber während des Spiels jede Minute nutzen, um diese Rolle zu ändern, auch die Dynamik so zu verändern, dass wir unsere Möglichkeiten haben und das Atletico so schwer wie möglich zu machen.
Leverkusen are in a process of transition after Roger Smith was sacked on March the 5th following an embarrassing 6-2 thrashing at Borussia Dortmund, and his successor Tefun Korkut said the odds were stacked against his side progressing. The Germans hope to have goalkeeper Bernd Leno back after he underwent nose surgery at the weekend. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. The SPPNG Hunters will face the South's Logan Magpies this weekend in Brisbane. A few changes have been made to this weekend's team. Blanda Bavu has been suspended for tripping, while Paul Wawa make his debut for the Hunters on the wing.
Wawa will become Hunter number 51 to don the Hunters jersey when he makes his debut this weekend. Fullback Blanda Bavu has been suspended by the Queensland Rugby League for one game after being cited for tripping in last weekend's match. Stagroth Amin has been put in to start in the fullback position, replacing Abavu. David Locker was charged for a dangerous throw last weekend but has been cleared after taking an early guilty plea and will see him start this weekend. Versatile forward Lawrence Tu'u will see him get a start in the back row alongside Loco. Watson Boas, Junior Robb and Bradley Brower have been named on the extended 20-man side. Minor injuries keep hindering a few players to be named in the team, but Marum says it is good to treat the injuries and try out the different player combinations early in the season. The 18-man travelling team will be confirmed on Friday. The team leaves on Saturday for the 2 p.m. clash on Sunday against South Logan Magpies at Brown Park. Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
The Rugby League Coaches Coaching Clinic, led by former Kumal David Wesley and PNG RFL Development Officer Toxinema, has ended Phase 1. The program ended in Goroka on Monday, with many taking part in the week-long program.
31 coaches participated in the Southern and New Guinea Islands Confederates coaching course. PNG RFL Development Officer Toxinema said a few former Hunters, Kumul's and Intercity Cup players also participated.
Also pleased to see a lot of our former elite Kumul players, representative players, coming to participate in the accreditation program. Overall, there were about 13 of them in here in Southern, and about 6 of them up in NSI for the Highlands. And
in the Highlands and Northern Confederate course, about 26 coaches participated.
So that was good. It was good to have these people, and I think when the reception of it, or the actual presentation was done well, and the participants enjoyed, and at the same time they learned a lot from the accreditation program.
Former Kumul and Australian Development Officer David Wesley says the course is good for the coaches in rugby league in the country.
For me, it was coming into a situation that we haven't done before. Usually in Australia you run a course, like an international course, and it's you do an online module and then you do face-to-face. So I think for myself it was going back to the basics of the game and teaching the fundamentals.
The second phase will be held in May and June, while the last course will be held in September.
I'll be holding an international accreditation, PNG Rugby League, and after that there'll be ongoing assessment. So it'll be coach in training, and they'll be assessed, and if they're going well and we tick them off, they'll get the full accreditation.
Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
PNG High Performance Team today carried out their second talent identification program for 2017 at the Aquatic Indoor Sports Complex with students from Don Bosco Technical College. Program Development Officer Connie Papau said since the inception of the program last year, schools around Port Moresby have shown great interest to take part.
Since the inception of the talent identification program last year, it has identified and scouted talents to go through the high-performance program set up for elite athletes in the country. Today saw 32 young men from Don Bosco Technical College go through strength and conditioning tests to check their fitness levels.
Let's go, touch, nice, push, 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 push.
The program was set up in 2 parts, one in class theory activities and the other being the practical, which was held indoor. And what possibilities there are for athletes training at an elite level.
Today we have Don Bosco Technical Secondary School here with us today. About 32 students have come in for the TID program. The program is all about trying to identify the natural talent that we have, and then we'll try to work to optimize this talent through our education sessions and covering topics on personal development, growth mindset, nutrition and health, and leadership. But basically those kids today will go through performance testing to try to pass all the student markers. So the testings that they will go through, which will cover vertical jump, pro agility, 20-meter sprint, and overhead pro.
Papau said PNG High Performance aims to reach as many young people they can reach with the program, with plans to spread to outside centers in the future.
I think the second phase of this program is once the students have come in and have passed all these performance testings result, few of them will be invited again into the High Performance Center of Excellence after Easter to go through into the training program. That's the second phase of it.
That's it. Left hand. That's it. Good. Finish him.
Students selected from today's identification program will go through to the next step before joining the elite level. The program will continue tomorrow with Gerahu and Jubilee secondary schools. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Baton was launched by the Queen at Buckingham Palace 2 days ago, and it will be relayed across Commonwealth nations before arriving in Gold Coast for the 2018 Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. The baton will go through 52 countries, covering over 230,000 kilometers before reaching its final destination. All of that will be done in 388 days, as the Games will commence on April 4th, 2018. The baton carries a personal message from Queen Elizabeth II, which will be read on the Gold Coast, and it has a tracker on board, so it can be tracked in real time. Though it has not been confirmed whether the Queen herself or a member of the royal family will be present to read the message. The baton will be passing through Papua New Guinea in December before entering Australia. And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, thundery showers in Port Moresby, thundery rain showers in Daru and Kerema, and rain showers tonight, then fine in Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, thundery showers in Lae, thundery rain showers in Medang, rain showers tonight, then fine in Wewak, and rain showers in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, thundery showers in Lorengau and showers in Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, thundery rain showers, then morning fog in all centres. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, to Kiwai Island to Kerema, to Yule Island to Hood Point, to Samarai Island, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, with waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel, to Finschhafen, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait, Siasi Islands to Long Island, to Medang to Bogia, with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Bogia to Wewak, to Aitape to Vanimo, to northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea, seas light with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas light with northeast to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas light with patches rather rough with southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas light with northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.